Welcome, family, to the Coach Love Show, and thank you for exploring with me today. I have Miss Jenica Myers here with me today. Her mic is on mute and she looks to be a little frozen, but I will tell you once she gets unfrozen, you will surely enjoy her. She has a very special spirit, and she is very, very kind. And so I'm hoping that she will get unfrozen fairly quickly here. Let me see. Jenica, are you with us? Oh, I think that she logged off. So while she's trying to get reconnected, I will just tell you a little bit about her. She calls herself a language acrobat, and I cannot wait for her to tell you what that is about. But it is not just her love of language that makes her remarkable. She actually uses her love of language to do something remarkable with her soil. She's back. Welcome, Jenica.
Thank you so much. Listen, I apologize for the connection. It's been raining all morning. It's
Yes.
coming and going, and I live in a fairly remote area,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
bush, so I may have to move around a little bit. I'm very close to the router, but if it
Well,
starts to rain again, so
well,
my
that is
apologies.
fine. You know what? That is fine. As a matter of fact, why don't you tell our beautiful audience where you are beaming in from?
I am coming to you live from the serene paradise island of Tobago. It's the
Yeah.
little sister of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. And this is the little quiet, more touristy sister.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. You know what? My heart is smiling just thinking about that beautiful land that is so rich.
It is beautiful. It really is. I count my blessings every day I wake up. I get to see the green on one side and then the Caribbean Sea on the other side.
Oh, my goodness. You know what? I have to come visit. I have to come visit.
You have a standing invitation. As soon as borders open up and everybody is vaccinated, you're more than welcome.
Oh, you know what? I think I feel like I'm hopping on a plane soon. So tell us, there's so much that I want to share with the audience about you. First, tell us the story of how you had to put confidence in another woman, a very young woman, regarding her love of language in a land that was unfamiliar to you.
Breathe deeply. So I'm a trained and experienced interpreter,
Yes.
and I find myself working for the first time in a country where I don't speak the language. So it's in
Uh-huh.
Bangladesh. And part of my job was to gather stories of the Rohingya refugees living there. We were coming up on the 1 year mark since they had fled from Myanmar into Bangladesh. And I was basically like a journalist with the Red Cross. But unlike every other time before, where I could just go and chat with people and interview them,
Mm-hmm.
this time I needed an interpreter. And it was a very young lady, beautiful spirit, fresh out of high school. She's a volunteer with the Bangladeshi Red Crescent. And so
Mm-hmm.
she was assigned to me to accompany me into the camp. Now, this is
Mm-hmm.
a refugee camp with 1 million people, okay? And we're
Okay.
going in there to interview a few people who had been identified by the Bangladeshi Red Crescent and
Uh-huh.
who were willing to tell their story. And so I had to put my questions through her
Uh-huh.
and wait for her to interpret the answers back to me so that I could write the stories of the people that we were interviewing, be
Uh-huh.
able to amplify their voice and tell their story of how life was 1 year after fleeing their home in very chaotic, violent circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Now,
that was a lesson in trust for me.
that was a lesson in trust. But the reason why I started off with asking you that is because God had planted a seed within you that allowed you to connect with people in order for people to trust you. But now it was time to grow past that trust and for you to have that faith in someone else.
Absolutely. And, the way you relate the analogy, it has been confirmed several times over. It was a very disturbing experience for me
Uh-huh.
because I felt so helpless.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that was the lesson I needed to learn because up until then, I had been fairly independent. I could go about doing things on my own without really having to ask anyone for help.
Mm-hmm.
And this
Mm-hmm.
is a big life lesson. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
just have to humble yourself
Mm-hmm.
and ask for help and know that help will come to you.
Absolutely. Janika, as a matter of fact, typically you are the person who helps others.
Very often, yes. I think it's in my nature, it's my DNA.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Even the helper needs help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that brings me to this idea of the circle of life that you have in your garden. And it's very interesting how your love for language and your love for gardening has all come together as one. Tell us about that.
Ooh. So I give you the executive summary. I am from Trinidad. I lived in Trinidad till recently, but God made a way for me to build my home in Tobago.
Uh-huh.
Now it's a huge move, although it's the same country, two different islands. Um, but part of that process was leaving the home under construction to go
Oh,
work overseas. So I really saw the home being constructed by video conference, like we're talking now.
oh wow. Yeah.
That was another lesson in trust. But then I came back to Tobago, came back to my home,
Uh-huh.
and for the first time had my own real space, could do whatever I wanted. You didn't have to follow landlord rules
Uh-huh.
of
Uh-huh.
no pets or no plants or no this or no this. And so I really invested in the land. I mean, it's nice to have a house, but for me, the big deal is the garden. Being able
Yeah.
to put something in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it I was able to watch it grow while I was here. Some of
Uh-huh.
it, friends who stayed in my home would send me photos of this plant flowering and the banana tree with bananas. And I was just thinking, oh my gosh, all my hard work, everybody else is reaping the rewards. I haven't tasted a thing from my garden
Oh my
while I was
goodness.
overseas until last year when
Uh-huh.
I came back home and yeah, was able to reap the fruits of my labor.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And you are, for the audience sake, you are actually a CEO, but you find your peace and you find understanding when you are gardening.
Absolutely. I'm still getting used to that title because I'm a brand new entrepreneur.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm the CEO, but I think more importantly, um, I'm the master and mistress of my homestead.
Yes.
And again, it's a big deal for me because there's just something very grounding,
Uh-huh.
and the pun is intended, very grounding and very nurturing about planting seeds, nurturing them,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the blooms come forth, seeing the fruits come forth, and being able to reap the harvest. And right now, I am in harvest season, literally in my garden,
Uh-huh.
but also in my business. So it's a young business. Um, things multiplied very quickly, and I'm very grateful to God for that, but
Mm-hmm.
also grateful to my support network. LinkedIn family is one of those networks that's been very nurturing, where people genuinely, share their advice, share wisdom, contacts, networks. But offline, I have a support network as well, who have been helping me to just get my business in order, because I'm not typically very business minded. But
Ah.
now that I'm CEO, you have to be everything to manage your company. So I'm learning from the mistakes that others have made, so
Uh-huh.
that I don't have to make the same mistakes myself. And that has enabled sort of multiplier effect and a form of acceleration that is reflected even in my garden.
That's amazing. Can you tell us 3 lessons that you have learned thus far as you have begun to nurture your business and nurture your garden?
So the top lesson is outsource when you can to experts. I pride myself on being multi-talented, having many skills, but there are just some things that I don't do well enough. So here's what: instead of stressing myself out, get an expert to do it.
Ah, that's a very good lesson.
That's what experts are for. People pay me for my expertise, so I have no issue paying experts for their expertise, especially when it's just not my area of specialty. Another lesson I have learned, and this is actually scriptural, and I see it manifesting almost daily, and it is simply ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be open to you. Sometimes we eliminate ourselves from a process
Yes.
by thinking that we're not good enough, that we're not
Mm.
going to apply for a job, or we're not going to apply for an award or a scholarship or whatever have you.
Uh-huh.
And we're actually the ones putting that barrier in our own way.
Wow.
When scripturally, God says, ask and you shall receive. All we have to do is have the boldness to ask. And so I've been asking, I've been seeking, and I've been knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm.
And most every time,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a yes. Almost every time that door has been open to me.
Uh-huh.
And on the occasions when the door has been shut, I can say sincerely, God shut that door.
Oh, wow.
He
Wow.
shut that door.
So
So,
if you don't mind, please give us a specific example so we can just kind of wrap our minds around how God has been manifesting your hopes and your dreams in partnership with His Word.
so many examples. Maybe what's the most spectacular one? Just the fact that I'm here talking to you in my home.
Uh, yeah.
It's one of those examples. Um, this is very personal, but it speaks to the goodness and the grandeur of God. I was in between jobs. I had resigned from one job. I had gotten an offer letter for another job, but I hadn't yet started the second job when I obtained a loan to be able to help finance my home.
Yes.
Now, if you look at this in a nutshell and in rational terms, it just sounds crazy, sounds unbelievable. Which bank would give a loan to somebody who's resigned from a job and hasn't started another job yet?
Yes, that is very unusual, highly unusual.
Okay, but it's my case.
That's a good example. That is
one of many. And I say that because, let me take it a little bit further. With my friends and of course my family, sometimes joke about the fact that I change jobs very often.
Okay.
Maybe every year on average.
Okay.
You look at my CV, there's about 15 or 20 different jobs in there, and I haven't put all on my CV.
Wow. Okay.
So again, from a banker's perspective, maybe looking at that, you think, okay, this girl, she's very unstable. She can't stay anywhere for too long. That looks like a red flag and a big risk.
Okay.
But that did not stop me. It didn't stop me from asking.
Yes.
Because I know that I am very stable. I am standing on the rock.
Yes.
Nothing can shake me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And so I ask for what I want and I get very specific. And as I said before, so many doors have been opened to me. Maybe just another one that's related. While this home was being built and I was overseas, so many doors were open to me, literally. Landlords who took me in without even asking for my ID card.
Wow. Wow. That's
They
amazing.
just look at me and they trust me. Why?
Well, I must admit, Jenica, you do have a beaming light. You know, when we met, I thought to myself, I have to get to know her. I have to know her story. And you just, you know, shine with warmth and kindness.
To God be the glory. I know I have like a third eye here.
Yeah.
It's always glowing. I can put how much powder on. There's like, yeah, there's a spot of light there.
You know what? That's a beautiful shine. Yes.
Why, thank you.
Awesome. Now, let us talk about one more lesson. I think I want to talk about the one of the mustard seed with you. Tell us about that.
The mustard seed.
Yes, the mustard seed.
I've told this story before, that the very first time that I saw and held a mustard seed in my hand, it was in 2015. And again, I had just returned to Trinidad. I was working in Haiti. This was like the final year of the earthquake recovery operations there and rebuilding Haiti after the 2010 earthquake. And when I received that mustard seed in my hand, I just thought like, wow, it's like the scripture just came to life in my fingers. Like you just need this much faith to move mountains. And so many mountains have been moved out of the way for me since I returned then. And so it's a scripture that I hold on to because it's literal for me. If we just have the boldness and the faith to believe that when we get this voice in our head, some people call it intuition, some people call it the universe. I call it God's voice. And God's voice has this sometimes annoying habit of telling you to do the craziest thing.
Well,
but guess what? His ways are higher than our ways. You know, it's beyond our understanding. So I've been asked to do some pretty crazy things. I
Uh-huh.
think the most recent crazy thing coming out of that mustard seed of faith was to leave a stable job
Uh-huh.
with the United Nations,
Mhm.
working in Zimbabwe
Uh-huh.
in the middle of the pandemic,
Okay.
leave the country
Uh-huh.
in the middle of a pandemic,
Yes.
not knowing exactly how or when I would be able to come home because my country's borders are still closed up to today. I had to
Wow.
get a special exemption, um, you know, try to reroute different flights to see
Mm-hmm.
which country could I get into on a Trinidad and Tobago passport because many
Uh-huh.
countries' borders had been closed at that time. I
Uh-huh.
was traveling in July 2020, sorry.
Okay.
And so just being able to get home was crazy. But guess what? That voice, that still small voice,
Yes.
spoke to me in June in Zimbabwe and
Uh-huh.
said, pack up, get ready to leave.
Wow.
Now, I had had a conversation with my boss. We had agreed that I would stay there till December.
Uh-huh.
And there I was hearing this voice telling me, pack up, get ready to leave. Mind you, at the time, I also had one minor issue. I didn't have a passport.
What?
My passport
Oh
was
my gosh.
stolen. My passport was stolen in Zimbabwe.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so I didn't have a passport when
Mm-hmm.
that voice said, pack up and get ready to leave.
Wow.
I was waiting on my new passport to arrive somehow,
Mhm.
calling the embassy, calling FedEx, calling this one, that one, like, what's happening. So there were a lot of crazy variables in the mix, but
That is amazing.
nothing can shake that voice that said, pack up, get ready to leave. And
Wow.
here I am at home. God made
That
a way.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That is absolutely amazing. Now, just to clarify for the audience, can you tell the audience why is it that you travel so much?
So I would say it's by choice. It's nothing that happened to me. These are choices that I have made and consequences that I assume. I have made the choice to seek international missions, humanitarian missions mainly. And because I've been seeking, those doors have been opening up to me. And so previously I worked for an extensive period with the International Red Cross
Uh-huh.
in major disasters,
Mm-hmm.
and more recently with the United Nations.
Mm-hmm.
In Zimbabwe, that was in a response to Cyclone Idai,
Uh-huh.
which had a major impact on Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Malawi in 2019. So that's the reason mainly that I've been traveling for work until God said,
All right.
pack up, get ready to leave, and brought me back home.
There you go. Well, Janika, I must say, I think you're being a little bit shy because really the reason why you travel so much with your job is because the people that you choose to help. That is why you travel. You go to places that are in turbulent times and you use your voice to give voice to the voiceless. That is why, you know,
Okay.
people, yes, people who would not have an opportunity to tell of their heartache and their struggles and things of that nature. This is why you go. You, everyone, audience, she is so modest, but she has a heart of gold, and that is why she is traveling so much. I have made her
Thank you,
listen.
coach. Yeah, I'm just like,
I have made her blush, family. I have made her blush, but it is
uh,
true.
I'm blushing and I'm like, I'm tearing up, sincerely, because yes, I have a heart of service. I'm very cautious about speaking, about helping people, because there is often a narrative that paints people in distress as helpless. And
Mhm.
I do my best to reverse that narrative, because
Uh-huh.
that person, that refugee, that migrant, that person who lost their home, who lost their limbs, who lost loved ones, it could be you, it could be me, any day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mhm.
And so, yes, I travel because I want to help people,
Mhm.
but it's difficult to say that,
Yeah.
because the reality is there's so much learning and growth
Mhm.
and just broadening one's perspective of the world
Yes.
that I feel in meeting people from different walks of life,
Mhm.
whether it's foreign colleagues in Haiti or Zimbabwe or Bangladesh or wherever, whether it's
Oh.
persons who, you know, maybe in difficult circumstances at the time that we meet, I'm always mindful that they have a story
Yes.
that started way before the disaster that
Yes.
brought us together.
Yes.
And so, yes, I help. I travel because I want to help people, but I travel really because I want to broaden my mind. I want to meet people who can show me a different way of
Mhm.
life, a different way of thinking. We may not always agree, but it's helpful to be able to see through someone else's eyes. And that's
Absolutely.
something I don't take for granted.
Absolutely. You know, as you speak, a scripture comes to mind.
Mm,
Two are better than one, and a cord of three is not easily broken. That
very
comes,
true.
yes, that comes to mind. And it also comes to mind that even our heroes need help. So it is okay to need help. Jesus did not do it alone. He got 12
He had a whole
disciples.
tribe. He had a whole
Yes,
tribe.
he had a whole tribe. And then as in fact, he has enlisted us, right? Okay. So he had 12
Absolutely.
original disciples, and then he told his disciples to go forth and make more disciples. Yeah.
True.
So um, even the strongest among us thrive when there is help. Okay. And if I was to make a modern reference, something that people see in cinema, Superman is really great, but I believe that he's a part of the Justice League, right? Yeah, you
The
know,
helper needs help. Yes.
yes, the helpers need help. So even when we are strong and we are heroes and we are quite equipped, it does not mean um, that we don't need help. The fact of the matter is, we are better together. Yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Amen to that.
Absolutely. Now, there is something funny I want you to share with the audience before you go. It is a funny thing that happens to you. I believe you have a beautiful cow that helps you.
Oh my God. Yeah. So listen, God can use anything,
Uh-huh.
anyone, any
Yes.
creature
Uh-huh.
to speak to you and to assist you.
Yes.
Before I get to the cow,
Uh-huh.
there's a blind puppy that God brought into my life and
Wow.
said to me, "You see this puppy? I want you to be just like her with me."
Oh,
God
wow.
literally sent a pup into my life to show me what blind faith looks like. Because
Wow.
this puppy, blind, I
Uh-huh.
got her blind. When I
Uh-huh.
brought her home, she was stuck to my feet. Like,
Uh-huh.
there's nowhere I would go that she would not follow me. I'd
Uh-huh.
go to the toilet, she'd be following me.
Oh my.
Around the house, just right, never moving far from my ankle. And I was like, wow, okay, God, I see what you mean. That's what blind faith
Mhm.
looks like. And I needed to see what
Wow.
it looked like.
Oh
And
my
then the
goodness.
cow.
Okay, now the cow.
Now the cow.
Yes.
So there's a farm, a cow farm just behind where I live. And well, I hadn't fenced that part of the property yet. And so the cows were in the habit of coming here before there was a house. And
Okay.
so they continued coming. But there was this one cow, and so I named her Hershey.
Okay.
Even with a little fence in place, she would wiggle her way through and
Uh-huh.
come into my yard. Now, most people I know would probably chase the cow because you don't know if the cow is going to eat everything that you planted. But I was watching over her, and she was only eating the grass.
Okay.
So I allowed her in, and once she finished eating the grass, she would leave me thank you notes all over the lawn, and I would just collect her thank you note, aka manure, and that goes back into my garden.
Yeah.
So listen, why would I refuse a cow that's maintaining my garden,
Uh-huh.
that's delivering free manure?
Uh-huh.
Why would I lock her out?
Absolutely. And the circle continues. The circle continues. You have the seeds from your food and you plant them back in the garden, and then
Yes.
Hershey comes by, it regrows, and it goes on and on and on.
Circle of life.
The circle of life. How fabulous. How fabulous. Well, family, we have traveled all the way to Trinidad, Tobago today to visit with Janika Myers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Coach Love. It's been a pleasure. And as I said, when borders reopen, everybody's vaccinated, you are welcome. Come and meet Hershey and the family.
I'll have to come meet Hershey and the family and taste some of the beautiful bounty from your garden.
I'm
That
sure the parties will still be here.
that'll be fabulous. Family, stay tuned. Later on, we're taking a real look at servant leadership at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'll look forward to seeing you then. For now, we are going to say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Janika, do you have any last words?
Bye. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
All right. See you later. Bye for now.
Ciao. Bye bye.